Life can throw crazy curveballs your way and you never know what tomorrow will bring, but one thing you can do is try to be prepared. Pretty and Prepared is a podcast hosted by me, Pamela Valdez, all about being the best version of yourself while preparing for the life you want and deserve. With this podcast, we are targeting millennials, content creators, students, creative individuals, and more looking to gain insight on all things social media, living your best life, self-confidence, love, building your career from the ground up, landing internships, secrets to working with brands, and so much more. Tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. for a brand new episode. Hello guys, welcome back to Pretty and Prepared. Today we're going to be talking all about internship experience and advice, and this is essentially going to be like the ultimate internship guide. I just filmed a YouTube video about this, so if you guys want to watch the video version of this, head over to my YouTube channel, which is just Pamela Valdez. And I wanted to make a podcast episode to go a lot more in depth about the whole internship process and my experience, what it's like. I've done almost 10 internships in my entire life, and I want to share with you guys some advice. So let's get started. I have done about 9 internships since 2020, and in 2020 I was a senior in high school. So I went through this really weird, like, existential crisis phase when I was in high school, specifically my senior year. This was the year that we were all applying for college, and you know how that goes. So I was struggling really badly because, number one, I didn't know what I wanted to go to school for. I currently go to the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, and I'm studying fashion business management. But at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do because I had so many different interests. So when I was a senior, I was actually a part of my school's newspaper, and so I would write for the fashion column, and I had a bunch of really cool little articles. I think I wrote like 2 before COVID started, and that sucked because I finally built up the courage and the confidence to put my voice out there. Because guys, in high school, like, I was not who I was today, and I'm really glad to say that because I did not like who I was in high school, and I feel like a lot of people can definitely relate to that. Like, in high school, it was just not the vibe, like it was just not it. And so I got so upset when COVID happened, more specifically because of the fact that I finally got out of my shell, and I was like, I'm going to rock these columns in the newspaper. Like, I'm going to do so good, and I'm going to talk about all the things that I love, and I'm going to talk about fashion. And of course, COVID happened. So when that whole thing went on, I was home like everybody else, and I was really going through this weird phase of like existentialism because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I had applied to a bunch of schools, and I was really stuck and torn because I love writing, and I thought that I wanted to go to school for journalism and like be an editor or something, or work for a fashion magazine or a newspaper. And unfortunately, I just did not find any good programs that I thought would fit with what I wanted to do. Like, what I was looking for, I could not find it. And I was like, you know what? I really like fashion. And one thing about fashion is that the industry does not really pay that well. So I was going through this weird rut of, do I want to stay in fashion, but I want to make a lot of money, but I want to do what I love, but I also don't know what I want to do. Like, it was very, very weird. And so when I found out about FIT, which is the Fashion Institute of Technology, I found a bunch of YouTube videos about it. I was like, you know what, this school seems pretty good. I saw that it was one of the top fashion schools in New York, and they also had a fashion business program, which I was like, you know what, I can kind of get the best of both worlds. I can learn about fashion, but I can also learn about business and then get a degree in that, and then hopefully hop into maybe a few different things after I graduate. When the admissions started rolling in and I got the email that I was accepted to FIT, it was such an amazing time, and I really felt like things were lining up for me. But at the same time, I was going through this weird rut now of like, okay, wait, I don't have anything at all that I feel like is going to make me stand out when I get to this school. So what did I just get myself into? And I am someone who, I have a really bad anxiety when it comes to being prepared for certain things, which is why I called this podcast Pretty Prepared, because I want everyone else to kind of feel like, you know what, if you're not really that prepared for things in your life, don't worry, I got you. And so I was going through that moment. I had just gotten accepted to college and I did not feel prepared at all. I was like, why am I going to this amazing school and I'm going to be the only one out there who's standing out like a sore thumb, and I'm going to basically have nothing under my belt. So I went into this like workaholic existential mode where I started applying to a bunch of internships. I made a LinkedIn profile, I made a resume, and I just really started building my network up. And from there, it kind of just started this workaholic mode for me, and I haven't been able to shut it off ever since then. But that is kind of my start into this whole like internship process. Is I got accepted into college and I felt like I had nothing under my belt, and I was going to be surrounded by a bunch of people who probably already knew what they wanted to do with their lives, and I was just going to be sticking out. So now let's talk about all of the internships that I have done. So my very first internship ever, this was actually about a month before I had gotten accepted into college, and I was a content media intern for a digital magazine called She's Single, and we learned how to use Zoom, how to conduct interviews, how to write out interview questions, and we would put in all of these into the digital magazine. And I had a very great experience, even though it was remote. I loved who I was working for. I loved the company, and I haven't checked up on them in a while, but they were very, very sweet girls, and I think it was like all women run, which is so cool. And that was literally my first internship ever, and I was with them for about 3 months, and this was January 2020 until March 2020. So this was like right before COVID had started. Then I was a social media marketing intern for this girl named Julia Lang. She was an influencer slash like business owner. I'm still connected with her to this day on Instagram. She's so sweet, and I'm so proud of her for her business and everything that she's accomplished so far. But at the time, she was kind of like an influencer. And so I was her social media marketing intern. I was managing multiple different Instagram accounts. And one thing to note as well is that all of these were unpaid up until my current internship that I'm doing right now. But yeah, all of these were unpaid, and I did them to obviously get experience, put something on my resume. And the social media marketing intern was one of the hardest internships I've ever done, because if someone tells you they're a social media manager, or if you are applying for that position, just know it is very hard. Like, it can sound fun, oh yeah, you're a social media manager, but the amount of things that you have to do and have things like set up and know how to do, it is very hard. And it's basically like a full-time 24/7 job all in one, because it's literally on social media, so your job never really turns off, if that makes sense. Then I was a PR and editorial intern for this digital magazine slash blog called Access by NKC. And fun fact, I actually wrote an article about Vogue Portugal for this magazine, and I didn't have the most accurate information about Vogue Portugal in this article, and it ended up getting the attention of Vogue Portugal themselves. So they reached out to the company and was like, can we talk to Pamela and kind of like fact check this whole article she wrote? So I had an interview with a girl who was an editor at Vogue Portugal. I don't know if she still works there today, but this was 3 years ago, and I thought that was really cool. It was funny because I did not write the most accurate things in there, because it was just me finding things on the internet. Like, I was literally a senior in high school and I was writing blog posts. Like, I don't know anything about Vogue Portugal, but I found this stuff online and I love Vogue, so I was like, let me talk about it. And they were like, yeah, we gotta fact check this girl. But the editor was so sweet, and it was truly just such a cool opportunity. My fourth internship was as a social media marketing specialist for this Parisian inspired eyewear brand in New York called Bonvu, and it was really great because I was able to get a lot more hands-on social media experience, and I filmed a little video for them for their YouTube channel, like a day in the life as a social media marketing intern. And that was also very short-lived. It was only for 2 or 3 months. They asked me if I wanted to stay again, but I was like, you know what, let me just try to find somewhere else. And I don't really remember that much of what I did with them because it was so long ago, but that one I had found through Indeed. I applied and I had gotten that one. My fifth internship, I don't really count it as an internship, but I did work for them, so I feel like it still counts. But I was an SEO intern for a company called Alliance Disposal, and it was literally a disposal company. Like, I'm not even kidding. The reason why I did this is because this was around the time that I was starting my blog, which is called Glamour and Guide, and I know that SEO, which is called search engine optimization, I know that SEO is very important when you're running a blog because that's literally how people are going to find you. So I had searched on Indeed for an SEO internship because I was like, this can help me kind of get some insight for how to run my blog. So I didn't really do that for school purposes. I applied for this just for more personal reasons because I wanted to learn more about SEO, and it kind of went like MIA after the first month and a half of the internship. Like, it barely was even an internship. They assigned work for us and we did it. But then after literally a month and a half, they just stopped answering us and took us off the email and stopped assigning us things. So I don't know if that really counts or not, but I still did work for them and like a bunch of keyword research for their website. My sixth internship was with J. Owen PR, which is a PR firm located in California. It was a okay internship. I did talk a little bit about this in my YouTube video. It was a little dysfunctional because they were in the process of like finding a new person to take on the role of taking over the interns and what they should do. But I ended up getting an email for them. It was like Pamela J. PR, I think. It was something with my name. And after like a few months, maybe like a month and a half or 2 months of just not really a lot of work, I just told them like I didn't want to continue because there was no sort of communication at all with like how we were going to be getting work done. And I did do a little bit of work with them, so it was kind of like the Alliance Disposal situation. Like, we had work, but at the same time it like wasn't really work and I didn't really know what I was doing. But nonetheless, I did get hired with them. After this, I actually stopped interning for a while because I was like, I need a break. I've literally just done like 7 internships all at once. So then I was an intern actually last summer. This was in 2022. I was the social media and marketing intern for a company called Riddle and Bloom, which I love Riddle and Bloom so much. They're the best. I've actually worked with them on the influencer side. So being able to intern for them was also really cool, and I loved doing that. And then afterward, I was a social media marketing intern for Intern Queen. That was actually last semester during the fall from August until November. I was their intern, another really great opportunity. And now I'm currently an intern for a skincare brand that focuses on acne, and it is science-based. It's called Phyla. They're so great, and this is my first ever paid internship, and it's in person / remote. And I truly think this is one of my favorite internships I've ever done because it is very hands-on, and I actually feel like I'm learning so much. And truly, it is a really, really great internship, and I've been with them since December. Again, I applied through LinkedIn, did the whole interview process, and it was really, really great. As for the actual internship advice, now that you guys know a little bit about my background and all of these internships that I've done, I feel like maybe you trust me now a little bit more to give you guys this advice. But my first step would be figure out what kind of internships you want to apply for. And by this, I mean narrow down the roles and what you want to do. So I am someone who I hate numbers. I hate math. I hate Excel. I hate finance. Literally anything related to numbers, like, do not count me in. So I knew automatically I am not going to be applying for any finance internships. I don't care how cool it sounds. Do not count me in. So I automatically just rule that out, anything that has to do with numbers. And I know that I'm going to stick to more social media / PR / marketing based internships because that's what I have the most experience of. But again, something that might help you is writing down what kind of internships you want to apply for and what you know you really want to do and what you don't want to do. If you actually have no clue what it is that you want to do, then go in and start looking at your interests, at your hobbies, and how can you find something based around that. Something that helped me was that in the beginning, I really liked writing, like I said, in high school, so I wanted to apply for an editorial-based internship, and that was really fun. But at the same time, while being in school and also having to write more things on the side, it ended up becoming a lot of work for me. So I realized that maybe editorial internships are not the best for me. But again, it was because I didn't really know. I was kind of dipping my feet in the water. It was my first internship ever. And when I did that, I learned, got the experience, put it on my resume, and I was like, okay, now it's time to find the next thing for me to do. Another tip, if you don't know what exactly it is that you want to apply for, you can go on social media, either on YouTube or on TikTok, and try to see what internships other people have done and see if that is something that you might be interested in. So over the summer, I saw that this one girl was an intern, I think for Frankie's Bikinis, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was that brand, and she did a little vlog of her like going into the office, and there was a shoot day, and then she had to go on a brand like promo vacation that they did, and she had to pack a suitcase and all this stuff, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And again, it was because I saw that on TikTok, and without me actually going on social media and like seeing what other internship stuff is out there, I would have never even known that opportunities like that exist. So again, take advantage of the resources that we have literally at our fingertips. And if you're already on the TikTok app scrolling and doing things mindlessly, it doesn't hurt to just take a few minutes out of your day and see what internship opportunities are out there and see what it is like to be a day in the life of someone who has that role already. Tip number 2 is you need a LinkedIn profile. I literally cannot stress this enough, guys. Having a LinkedIn profile is going to change the game for you, because if you don't have this, not only are you stopping yourself from finding the opportunities of connecting with other people, but you're also stopping yourself from having the opportunity for people to connect with you. And I made a LinkedIn profile account in December of 2019. I specifically remember this because that was around the time that I had just finished applying for college apps, and I was in that existential crisis mode before I actually diagnosed it as that, and I just thought that it was me having anxiety about the future, but it was literally because I just didn't know like what life was going to be like after college. So I decided to make the LinkedIn profile during that time, and I had no idea what LinkedIn was, but it was because I watched a YouTube video. I specifically remember I was sitting in my dining room and I looked up on YouTube how to apply for internships. And I saw that this girl said you need to make a LinkedIn profile, and I was like, what is LinkedIn? I saw that it is just a website that you can make a free account, you can connect with people, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I made that, and it has been history ever since. So a very quick little LinkedIn kind of like crash course is you need to have a profile picture. For your profile picture, I really recommend just having a blank background, like a white wall or just something where the background is plain. And I recommend doing this because you can use this photo for literally anything. I had a photo of me from my Instagram on my LinkedIn profile for the longest time, and I just felt like it was really holding my profile back from looking as good as it could. So I rented a studio a few weeks ago with my sister because we were going to be shooting some content for a brand deal that I had to do, and I had the brilliant idea to bring a little button-up shirt that I was going to be shooting in and take advantage to get a LinkedIn profile photo, because I was like, there's going to be a blank background, and what better way to get it done than literally at a studio. So of course, you guys do not have to rent a studio. That was literally just because I was there to shoot a brand deal, and I was like, let me just take advantage of my time and my money. But again, if you have the chance, if you have the time and you have a button-up t-shirt or just something that looks professional, I definitely recommend doing that because it can really up your profile. And I don't recommend putting your photo on your resume, just because I had a teacher last semester who reviewed our resumes and he told us to take it off just for professional reasons. And I was like, you know what, I've had my profile photo like on my resume for so long, let me just take it off. And I feel like it does look a lot better without me just literally smiling on there. So I definitely recommend taking that off. As for the rest of your LinkedIn profile, make sure that you have a headline, which is where your name is. And then at your headline, you can also add a little bit about you. So I have that I'm a business owner, a content creator, and college student, because those are literally all my hobbies. And I have that on there. So those are specific keywords that can match up when someone is looking up a specific role on LinkedIn. I get emails all the time that say that my name or my profile has came up in specific search results. So I think that that is really great to just have that on there, because it can really help people find you, especially if they're looking to hire for a specific role. And I've actually been reached out to so many times on LinkedIn for job opportunities, for internship and brand deal opportunities. Like I've literally landed a 4-figure brand deal from LinkedIn because someone reached out to me and saw my profile and it was like, okay, you're a college student, do you want to do this? And I thought that was so cool because that's never happened to me before. And I also get job opportunities all the time. Like people will message me and be like, can you apply for this? Like I'm a recruiter for blah blah blah. And obviously I'm in school, so I can't accept these, but again, that just goes to show that it really does work. LinkedIn also has a bio where you could put a little bit about you, a little blurb, and I have just a really quick and short description about me, where I'm from, what I do, where I go to school, and then I also have a little bit of like my content stuff. So I put that I've worked with like over 100 brands, and I put some of the most notable brands. I also have my email on there, and then a little bit of my work on Glamour and Guide, which is my blog, and then I also have my agency page on there. But again, just keep it short and sweet. Don't put so much fluff on there, but again, have things that are definitely going to make you stand out and just so that people can get a quick view of who you are when they're visiting your profile. Another tip for your LinkedIn profile is I really recommend attaching your resume to the media section of your profile. And the reason why is because instead of you having to send your resume out to people, you can just have your resume literally attached to your profile already. And if you guys want to go to my LinkedIn for an example, you definitely could. It's just my first and my last name, Pamela Valdez. And on my LinkedIn profile, I have my resume attached. I also have a link to my blog. And then I think I also have my media kit still up on there, and my media kit is just for brand deal purposes. So specifically brands that want to work with me or anything, I have that attached on there. And again, it's so easy because you have that media there, and then whoever is scrolling through your profile can literally just look and see that it is on there and then go through it. Number 3 is have a resume before you start applying for literally anything. Guys, like without a resume, you obviously cannot apply for anything. So I really recommend using Canva. If you can, it is free. You can just make an account, and they have so many cool resume templates that you can use. And I like Canva a little bit more than some others that I'm going to mention, just because you have a lot more creative freedom on there, and you can change, edit, add anything. You can mix templates together. You can literally make your own. Like, I absolutely love Canva, and the amount of things you can do on there for free is also really, really helpful, especially if you don't want to pay for a pro account. The other platforms that you can use are Google Drive. I know in the document section you can actually find a resume template, but they're a little bit boring, so I don't know if you do want to use that. And then also the Pages application, which is available on the MacBook, you can use that also. I know they have resume templates on there too, so I would definitely recommend using any of those. Again, it's free. Do not put your photo on there, just because I feel like it can draw a little bit of that like professionalism, and I haven't had the best results when I've had mine on there, so I would recommend taking it off. And again, do not put all of your experience on there. I also touched upon a little bit of this in my YouTube video, which is that I used to put all of my job experience on my resume, and depending on the job that you're applying for, you have to customize the resume for that. So for example, if you're applying for a finance internship and you have some finance experience as well as like a little bit of social media experience, you're not going to put all of your social media experience on there because you want them to see your finance experience. So make sure that you are just customizing it depending on what you are applying for, because as someone like me who has so much experience, I can kind of play around with what I want on my resume. But for other people, if you don't really have that much, obviously that's totally understandable. You can't really play around as much. But again, I would just recommend keeping it a lot more specific towards the job and the role that you're applying for, so that there's not a bunch of fluff on there. Number 4 is have some notes as well as practice doing mock-up interviews when you are in the process of applying for internships. A mock interview is essentially just a fake interview that you can conduct literally by yourself. I do this all the time when I'm really nervous. I make sure that I'm asking myself basic interview questions, and I'm just practicing literally while I'm around the house, while I'm cleaning, when I just have an extra 10 minutes, even before I go to sleep sometimes in bed. If I have a really big interview, I will just practice some questions that I wrote down in my notes app, and I will go through them and answer them and try to time myself. When you time yourself for the answers that you you are giving, I feel like it's also really helpful because you're not just going to blabber on about all of your experience or just take really long to answer the question. As for the notes aspect, make sure that you have some notes on the side if you get nervous. I am someone who, when I'm nervous, I literally black out. Like, I forget my name. Like, who am I? Where do I live? What is my birthday? Like, I literally black out because I get so nervous, and this happens to me in so many interviews. I've done so many now that I'm definitely a lot better than how I was before, but in the beginning, it was so hard for me because I literally would be like, who am I? Like, literally, what is my identity? Because I would go into these interviews and just be so scared. And a lot of the times I would have no preparation. Like, I would just go in with cold feet, and you cannot do that. Like, especially if you really want to rock this interview, you do need to practice. Obviously, some people can probably go in there and just be super confident and rock it without that. But for people like me, I like having some notes, and I'm not saying have this on your phone and look at your phone during the interview, but I like to do this little thing where on my computer I'll have half my screen with the interview, and then I'll have the other half of my screen with my resume open or just some notes that I want to ask after the interview is done, just because, again, I can have those little blackout moments where I forget what I want to ask or just specific things that I want to talk about in the interview. So just make sure that if you are a little bit forgetful, you have some notes available on the side. And for the mock interview, if you guys want to have someone actually do the interview with you, maybe you can't do it by yourself, you can ask a sibling, a parent, a best friend, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, like literally ask anyone, and they can definitely help you out with that as well. Before I end today's episode, I just want to say that I have a page on Instagram called Valdez Agency where I post a bunch of opportunities related to internships and opportunities and all of that stuff. So if you guys are interested and you do want to learn a little bit more about any opportunities that are open, whether it is in the internship or content creator or job space, I definitely recommend that you guys give it a follow. We just hit over 1,000 followers a few months ago, and I'm very, very grateful for all of the new people that come, and I've gotten so much positive feedback with people telling me that it has helped them so much more than I know. So I'm very, very grateful. And if you guys, again, don't really have the time to be looking online, I do post them every single day. I'm very active on there. I post daily, and I really hope that page is helpful for you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to Pretty and Prepared, and make sure to tune in every Monday for new episodes at 8 a.m. and my DMs are open for any podcast episode ideas you guys have, or if you guys just want to talk, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.